Welcome to In Conversation with Hemali. Year after year, students wonder what they can do, what they shouldn't do to get into a university. Today's guest might just help the students as well as parents do that. Namita Mehta, an alumnus of the University of Oxford, is a passionate educator and has been working in the college counseling space for over a decade. She started her career as a school counselor, where she not only helped students with the university application process, but also mentored students from grade 8 on effective profile development. She is currently the president at the Red Pen, which is a successful global independent education consulting firm, where she specializes in the Oxbridge admission process. As a columnist for Midday and a speaker on over 10 panels this year, Namita aims to offer study abroad advice to students across the world. Welcome, Namita. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Hemali. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, Namita, I'm going to straight away jump to my questions, and that would be, please tell us how the Red Pen was formed and your journey with the company.
So the Red Pen was founded in 2011, so we're over a decade old now. It was co-founded by Kimberly Dixit and Kavita Mehta, both who grew up in the US and moved to India. When they first came here, they realized that there was so much misinformation and a lot of dearth of information in the study abroad space. They initially helped students in an informal way, but decided to formalize college counseling and therefore started the Red Pen. So in the beginning, the Red Pen focused primarily on college essay editing, hence the name, the Red Pen.
Right.
But as they continued to speak to applicants, Kim and Kavita realized that there's so much more in the process than just essay editing. Students needed support with so many other things like college selection, profile development, letter of recommendation strategy, test preparation strategy, and just overall assistance with the whole process.
Right.
So I joined the company as a consultant in 2014 after a 2-year break in my career. I had 2 children in 2 years, and so took some time off between 2012 and 2014. As you mentioned in the introduction, I was a school counselor prior to that, and I worked at the B.D. Samani International School for 3.5 years.
Okay.
So since joining the Red Pen, we have grown exponentially and now offer education services at all levels. I like to say pregnancy to PhD.
Fantastic.
So from helping families decide which schools to put their children in, when they're toddlers, whether they want to pick a school with an international curriculum, or more local curriculum, we offer that service all the way to boarding and day school admissions. We also do undergraduate admissions consulting, postgraduate admissions consulting, MBA admissions consulting, and also something called institutional support. So what we do here is we actually work with new IB schools and new high schools across India to help them, get their college counseling departments up and running. We've done a lot of work in that space as well. So I became a partner at the Red Pen in 2017, and Kavita, one of the co-founders, she left in 2019 to explore an EdTech opportunity, and now Kim and I run the Red Pen with a fantastic team of over 70 people.
Great, great. So for my viewers, I want you to note that they advise also for younger students to get into the schools as well as university students. Kindly note that. Thank you so much, Namita, for saying that. And application essays are a crucial part of the admission process. Even more so than before, as the standardized testing has been cancelled, right? So can you please share some useful tips about essay writing?
That's a fantastic question, Hemali. I think, the first thing that I would say is just first that writing essays for different colleges for different destinations is important to note. If you're applying to the UK or Europe, there's a certain kind of style that they're looking for. If you're applying to, say, the US or Canada, there's a different kind of style that they're looking for. So let me walk you through that. For applications to European universities and UK universities, you have to write something often called a personal statement. And that is very academically focused. They really, really want to make sure that, whatever you're going to study at university is you're going to talk about the skills that you've gained as a high school student. So your personal statement almost has to be a little bit more focused on what you want to do and what skills you've kind of gained at high school to be able to be successful in that potential degree. So let me give you an example. Let's say that I wanted to study economics at the London School of Economics and Political Science. You have this 4,000 character statement to write. And in that statement, you basically have to say why you're going to be a good economics student, what you've done in high school so that you develop the skills to eventually do higher level economics or economics at university. And so things you would talk about here are, why you want to study economics. You would talk about any extra reading that you've done, what subjects you've chosen in the 11th and 12th grade or your 12 and 13 that are going to make you a stronger quantitative applicant to then eventually go ahead and study economics. You talk about possibly any internships that you've done. And then you would mention something about why you want to study in the UK as well. So it's a little bit of a rigid structure. But if we move to, say, the US and Canada, there's a lot more opportunity for you to be a little bit more adventurous in your writing. And in fact, they really want you to be reflective when you're writing. They don't want you to tell them about something that they already know about. Like for me, like for example, telling them about, winning a robotics competition, which is already mentioned on your application, is not what they're looking for. They're looking to learn something about you that they don't already know. So here's when you really need to write reflectively, like talk about it at a time when you learned something about yourself, when you saw growth, or when you, when there was a transformation in your thought process. I mean, they're really trying to understand you outside of those data points and outside of those extracurricular activities that you've listed. It's a tough process, Hemali. I mean, we're not taught how to write reflectively in school.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of practice. And we really help students with that at the Red Pen. We don't, we really spend time with them. We have a brainstorming session. We get to know them really well, and then we come to the drawing board. We think of different ways of showing their narrative and their story in the best possible way, and then we start writing.
Lovely. So because definitely writing an essay is so difficult. I mean, I had both my children writing their essays for getting into universities, and my daughter, she's right now doing the same thing. She's applying at universities, and it is not easy. I mean, I can't help her. No. Honestly. I mean, yeah, it's not easy, but wonderful that you provide that kind of service, where these students can come and talk to you about what they want to do, and you can guide them ahead. Great. How much, do extracurricular activities help students' profile?
Again, that's a really good question. I think, again, it depends where you're applying, Hemali. Like if we look at UK, Europe, or Singapore, Hong Kong, they're really interested in the extracurricular activities that you're going to do that are related to the major that you want to study. Right. So if I'm applying to a university in Singapore or even in the UK, while they really appreciate that I have a lot of talent in maybe dance or in art, but if I want to study, say, engineering, they really want to know what I've done in that space. Have I done any math or physics Olympiads? Have I done any kind of extra courses in those subjects? Have I done any research projects? Anything related to the major that you want to do. So extracurriculars can be a little bit more rigid if you're looking at those destinations. Whereas if you're looking at Canada or America, it doesn't really matter what you want to do. What really matters is the depth of the activity, is the depth of what you're doing. It's really about quality versus quantity. Like dabbling in many different activities is not something that they want. I mean, they're not looking for someone to play badminton one semester and then play hockey the next semester and then swim the next semester. They're really looking for someone who's committed to, one or two, three extracurricular activities, which they do really, really well. Now, for universities in the US and Canada, they employ something called they use something called a holistic admissions process, which means they look at many different factors when they're kind of looking at your application. They're not only looking at the data points. They look at your extracurricular activities. They look at how you're involved in the community. They look at your letters of recommendation. They look at what your teachers have to say about you. They look at your standardized test scores sometimes. So it's very holistic. But when it comes to extracurricular activities, I wanted to say that it's really not about ticking the boxes, right? It's not about doing one internship, doing one social service activity, then doing one research project. A lot of parents we speak to kind of say, oh, my child is, has no community service. It really doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, if the child doesn't want to do that, it's fine. Let them do what they enjoy and let them build on it every year. I think that's what selective universities are looking for, just that students are genuinely resilient. They love what they're doing and they're making an impact.
Right. Thank you. That was so informative. And I'm sure parents who are listening to what you just said, it's going to be very, very helpful. And right now is the time for applications. So this is going to be very helpful. Thank you, Namita. I would like to know, you grew up in Hong Kong and studied at Charterhouse UK boarding school. And then you went to Oxford to read molecular and cellular biochemistry. Given your international background, how easy was it for you to move to India and run a business there? And the shift from molecular, and cellular biochemistry to here, how did all that happen?
Okay, so I mean, I have a very interesting journey. You know, I graduated then in molecular cellular biochemistry, like you said, and I actually wanted to stay in the space. I wanted to kind of pursue a career in science. And when I moved to India, I was offered a PhD in a lab as well, you know, where they were doing in vitro fertilization, and I was going to pursue that. But you know, I'd done a bit of research while I was at university as well, and I realized that it's a very isolating profession. You kind of have to work on your own. Yep. It's a lot of input, and it takes a long time for you to kind of discover something or for you to kind of write a paper in the end. So I thought about it. And I was working in pathology, and I was kind of offered this PhD position. And then I actually thought about it and realized that I wanted to do something more where I was interacting with people. And simultaneously, I was kind of volunteering at the IB school that I eventually worked at, where I would come and I would talk about my Oxford experience. I would tell them about how to kind of approach the interview, how to kind of look at the tests that you have to take for most Oxford courses. I kind of did that as a pro bono thing. And then the principal of the school said, "Hey, why don't you join the school as a university counselor?" As a university counselor, I was very hesitant in the beginning, I'll be honest, but you know, I think it's the best decision that I ever made. And I haven't turned back. And the school was wonderful. They really trained me. I was able to attend conferences. I was able to kind of connect with many different admissions counselors around the world and really build my knowledge in this space. I traveled to universities. I really learned the processes really well, and then was able to set up the department. So that's like my journey about coming into the college counseling space, and I think it's the best decision that I've made, like I said. In terms of moving to India, I think like I said, I had the Ivy school, I had that infrastructure, and so it wasn't a challenge at all. It was actually seamless. It was an international school. My mentor and the person who brought me into the space is Mr. Don Gardner, and I think I really thank him every day for inviting me and giving me this opportunity.
Lovely, lovely. So it's so nice to hear that it wasn't really challenging. Rather, you felt at place when you moved here to India. Great. So Namita, what does success mean to you? Also, I would request you to leave a message for the viewers, the students as well as the parents, please.
So to me, success is really about growth. I've seen that in myself. I've seen that, at the Red Pen. I've seen that in everything that I do. That for me, when I'm learning and when I'm growing as an individual, that is success. I really do feel that, it's so easy to kind of maybe just focus on one thing or just kind of look at something in a very linear way. But the education consulting space really allows me to learn something new every day. There's so many new things happening in the education world. As you can see with COVID-19, we've had to shift from this in-person schooling all the way to online. So much learning happening there. Universities have adapted fantastically. There's so many things to do. So many more English-speaking programs coming up that give me the opportunity to learn about, that I can learn about them, even opportunities within India for Indian students. There's so much stuff happening here. So for me, it's all about growth, and I think that's what success is.
Beautiful.
And a message to the students and the families is that really when you're thinking about this process, try and focus on best fit rather than rank tables. For me, I really always try and educate families about how rank tables are not the be end and all end of everything. Sometimes these rank tables, it has no kind of bearing to undergraduate teaching, right? What these rank tables actually, the criteria that they use to come up with the ranks, right? So it's really important that you look beyond that. It's a great place to start, no doubt. I mean, I understand if parents don't have an understanding, looking at a US News or Times education table is a great way to start, but do your research. And there are so many hidden gems when it comes to universities that don't only look at the brand names. There's so many opportunities out there, and there's so much that many universities have to offer that people don't know about. So, do your research, and obviously if you need extra assistance, then, come to us and we'll be more than happy to support you in this process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Namita, for that lovely message that you leave behind. And parents, definitely look for the right fit, then the rank table. That's something that we need to kind of keep in our minds all through. Thank you so much for the lovely talk and for guiding us on essay writing, as well as other how important the extracurricular activities are. Parents and students out there, if you plan to study abroad and need any kind of advice, you may connect with Namita at the email that I'll be providing below, as well as you could, I'll also be providing the link to her company, so you can contact her directly. Thank you very much, Namita. An absolute pleasure talking to you. And thank you so much for making a difference, to so many families by guiding them to take the right step ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Hemali.
Thank you. Bye-bye.